All right. So this is a presentation is trying, as I said, to show a way of reading the text in the phenomenology and trying to apply Hegel's method itself to break down the text itself. So the first is on which you see the three main boxes in the green color. So Hegel usually starts with box one, which is positivity. He usually introduces the phenomena for us. You know, Hegel is talking about a phenomena for us, something for us that shows to us and present to us. So he starts usually with affirming it with a positive language, with embracing it as a thought coming to us. Then he go immediately to finding the shortfall of this positivity and the critique in it. And third step, he go and give us an exit way from this shortfall in this phenomena, the phenomena for us. As long as there is a critique of it, there is a division in it, there's a problem in it, there is a movement from it, how to move from it and to get out. So I have tabulated the previous slides. What is called here in the left-hand column, categories in the method, which is the positivity, that where he's affirming things. He used the keyword like concrete, rich, internal essence, per se, universality, all of these things. And in the critique, he looks into the division in the idea itself, in the thought, in the phenomena for us. And then he introduced a kind of dialectical logic in how to move forward with this phenomena for us. I'll reproduce this table in a different way to clarify it more, but let me give concrete example from the book itself about how we handle that. So let's go and let's take the first chapter in the phenomenology, the sense immediacy. So Hegel, when he speaks about sense immediacy, he talks about it in a positive way. So in 91, he spoke about it as if it is something concrete content of sensuous certainty, riches, cognition, most veritable, for it has not omitted anything from it. So he affirmed it. So here's he affirming the idea. But then in 91 again, he goes to critique it, to criticize it, by saying it's the most abstract. So the most important thing in this paragraph, which is when he critique, is the last one, I also don't compare. What Hegel tried to say to us here, when we have a phenomena for us and we cannot run a comparison in this phenomena, that means we are sensing it as a qualitative attribute. We cannot give it a quantitative identity. If I can give it a quantitative identity, that means I can compare it. But when I cannot, I don't compare. I cannot compare. Okay? So now with this situation, he's affirming, he's criticizing, but then now he's introducing to us a way of movement, which is through the negation. And the way he spoke about negation here, he spoke about negation of the now. What does it mean, the negation of the now? He means to say, he wanted to tell us, since I cannot compare the phenomena for us, and it's remain as a sense immediacy in its qualitative context and attribute, I remain in the now. So I negate in the now, I continue being in the now, again in the now, in the now, in the now, I cannot exit from it. So in sense immediacy, the movement that we experience in the phenomena for us is just negating of the now. Something is sweet, and this is a sweet again, it's a sweet again, it's a sweet again. It's like a childhood type of things. Okay. Now, if I take this and reproduce it in the context of the dialectic, how Hegel dialecticized the phenomena for us, again, positivity, we can map it to the thesis. The critique is the antithesis, and the movement of thought is a sublation itself. Okay, so we need to pick the keywords in each and every paragraph and try to trace it again, whether this is a thesis or antithesis or sublation, whether this is a positivity or a critique or a movement of thought. Now, this is not a mechanical process that you go from 1 to 3 immediately. This is a very complex and iterative nonlinear method. Okay, so you find, if you see the if you see the left-hand corner, the elaboration box, just try to communicate a message that's saying there is a lot of elaboration in the discourse of Hegel language. All right. So now, so again, I reproduce this diagram into a table again. Thesis, antithesis. In the thesis, he's affirming the initial position of the phenomena for us. He's affirming it. In the antithesis, he is defining the opposites, the determinist negation of the thesis itself. Okay, so where negation of this initial affirmation plays a determinant role. Now, when it comes to sublation, sublation is a playground where it's not like a very technical language term. Like in analytical philosophy, sublation means negation of negation. It's a negation of negation if we translate it, but it's actually a process. It's a process where you take the antithesis and you take it to another level. How you take it to another level, either and or you preserve something from and or you cancel something from it, and then you take it to another level. Okay, so this is the processes of the thesis, antithesis, sublation mapped to the method that Hegel used in his text. I have another example from the perception, how to take the perception paragraph and try to map these keywords, like the word of per se, for example, universality in this is, so he is affirming the perception here. And he's saying per se. Per se means it's something intrinsic. So he's giving it an advantage, a positive affirmation. But again, he go to the antithesis by trying to say, for example, this is something, I only can perceive something if I perceive it as opposite to something else. So the keyword opposite means there is a symmetry of a relationship between the object I perceive. I know I have a limited time, so I don't want to elaborate here, but I can go back again if there is any question to handle it. Now, the sublation also here is self-explanatory. You see, the preservation, when you preserve something, you sublate, because you want to preserve something from the antithesis. Okay, now I have noticed that I have the two books, the Pinkard books, I think, and the other one is the A.V. Miller book. Okay, and I found a mismatch in the translation. Sometimes I find the one book is more genuine in picking up the dialectic language itself correctly. Sometimes I see the other way around. So sometimes, for example, Pinkard is using the word sublated, or in page 73 he said sublated, but before that he's saying it's a preserved. So there's a confusion in the translation. I think if we go and reproduce the text or read the text in the context of type of method, we may advance the translation and make it a more attuned and aligned. So I'm going fast because I know Philip told me you have just only 8 minutes. Maybe I'm now exceeding it, but I have to step to
Khalid.
Khalid. Yes.
Take your time. It's okay.
Okay.
Don't rush it.
Thank you. Right. Okay, let me go to, for example, legal language, because it's also important when we read when we read the phenomenology to understand the language We understand the language in the context of the dialectical method. We don't understand it in isolation from that. I don't want to superimpose kind of strict dialectical, but to try to make the sense out of it. Let's take the example of the key word, supersensible. Supersensible is a category that has been used by Hegel in the understanding phenomena, and the phenomena for us as we understand it, or when we arrive at the understanding stage. I see the supersensible is a category and a sublated category. It has been lifted up from, it's a concept, it's a phenomena that has been taken from the sense immediacy and the perception, preserve something in it, but then lift it up to another level. And the way Hegel, he wanted to talk about how we lift it up to another level, he's saying that this is an inverted understanding. And Hegel here means by inverted understanding, you know, let's give a small example. If you take any object and you perceive it in a certain way, like in perception, when you perceive this object, for example, when you perceive this object, in perception, this is universal for you, but it excludes other objects. You cannot integrate it together. It excludes it. Why it's excluded? Because you have perceived this object in its particular properties. And these properties itself isolated this object from the rest of the objects in the world. This is why he used the word thinghood. If you remember in the previous slide, I'll go here. If you see the word here, thinghood, exclude others, and by which thinghood is determined as thing. Okay? Now, so why inverted? Because when you take an object, or you perceive its property in a certain way, the only way to understand it in a sublated manner is to invert it. To invert it, try to see from inside to outside, not from outside to inside. So this is the technical term, of course, but the concept of inversion is that you take an object, you try to invert it, you try to read its property in different way in order for you to see that this property is not only a thinghood, is part of other properties, is part of other objects. Okay, so this is the supersenses is a sublated concept. So I don't know, I say thank you, shukran in Arabic, shukran jazilan in Arabic, and thank you very much, thank you. So sorry for this technical, I know it's rich content, but I tried to summarize it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to present my my pro seminar. Thank you.
Shukran, Habibi.
Shukran. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Shukran, Khalid. That was wonderful. That was really excellent. Thank you.